Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, I just got back from the federal courthouse in Norfolk, Virginia, where I attended the arraignment hearing in the prosecution. I'm going to call it like it is, the vindictive prosecution, the selective prosecution, the revenge-fueled prosecution by Donald Trump of New York State Attorney General Letitia James. And as you're about to see, I took some video outside the federal courthouse in Norfolk this morning, both before and after the Letitia James arraignment hearing, so you can see for yourselves, get kind of a firsthand impression of what things looked like down there today. But let me just hit a couple of the highlights. First of all, we have a trial date. The vindictive prosecution against Letitia James will go to trial on January 26th. That is just a few weeks after the James Comey vindictive prosecution case will go to trial on January 5th. Here is probably the most interesting aspect of what went on in court today. As you probably know, both former FBI Director James Comey and the current New York Attorney General Letitia James are filing multiple motions to dismiss these vindictive prosecutions. One of the reasons they are both seeking to have their cases thrown out of court is because of their assertion that the U.S. Attorney Lindsey Halligan was unlawfully appointed. Therefore, she had no lawful authority to go into the grand jury and get these vindictive indictments in the first place. But here's the really interesting part. Not that they're both going to file the same motion. They both have that issue in their criminal cases. But the judge, Judge Walker, decided to consolidate the two hearings. That is, the hearing that James Comey will present, arguing that his case should be thrown out because of the alleged illegal appointment of U.S. Attorney Halligan, and Letitia James' hearing on that exact same matter. The judge consolidated those two hearings, and they're going to be heard in the same courtroom at the same time by a judge in the federal district down in South Carolina. Why? Well, because the allegation is that a U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia was not lawfully appointed, so the case should be thrown out. There's a conflict with judges in the Eastern District of Virginia not being able to sit in judgment on that issue. So as a result of that conflict, these motions will be heard by a federal judge in South Carolina. And the interesting part is, in one criminal courtroom, we're going to see one defendant, the former director of the FBI, sitting shoulder to shoulder with another defendant who is the current Attorney General for the state of New York. You know, every day, friends, we are adrift in uncharted legal waters. And so on November 13th in South Carolina, we're going to see that unusual occurrence of those two people being together, arguing the same motion to dismiss in each of their respective cases in a criminal courtroom in South Carolina. Only in the Trump era. So friends, here is the video from outside the federal courthouse in Norfolk, Virginia, at today's arraignment in the Letitia James case. I am here at the Walter E. Hoffman Federal Courthouse in Norfolk, Virginia, and I'm here to cover the arraignment, the criminal arraignment of New York Attorney General Letitia James. I wanted to be here to bring you all a live account of what's going on. You can see that at the courthouse there's a moderate media line. Lots of cameras and microphones set up. There is not much of a civilian presence yet. When I say civilian presence, I mean real people, non-media types, folks who are here because they're interested in seeing what happens during this
court proceeding or because they want to support Letitia James or perhaps they, want to see her convicted. But I am not seeing much in the way of the general public yet. I will say the hearing is scheduled for 11 a.m. Eastern time. So it's still early. People may begin to trickle in. Um, and, interestingly, this courthouse is named after a storied judge of more than 40 years, Walter E. Hoffman, who played an important role in the desegregation of Norfolk public schools. He also is the creator of the Rocket Docket, which you all have perhaps heard something about. That is the Eastern District of Virginia's courts, which do business at light speed, unlike many of the other federal jurisdictions. So I am not going to say it feels ironic that we are here at a courthouse named after a pioneer of desegregation, at least a judicial pioneer of desegregation in Norfolk. And here we are today to, I think, witness what is almost inarguably a vindictive prosecution of a, Trump perceived enemy, an African American woman, extraordinarily accomplished, steely, even New York Attorney General Letitia James. And here we are about to watch what will be the formal commencement of what I suspect will be a vindictive and selective prosecution. So I'm going to head into the courthouse now, and I will um, jump right back on live as soon as the hearing ends, and I'll let you know what happened at today's arraignment of New York State Attorney General Letitia James. I'll see you all again shortly. Right, just emerged from the courthouse in the Letitia James arraignment. And I will say it went largely as expected, and we've got some dates to pay attention to. Oh, and it sounds like New York Attorney General James is perhaps just coming out. Let me try to make my way back around here to where it's a little bit quiet, and I will try to talk a little bit about some of what went on in the hearing today. All right. So, as I mentioned, we have I should have brought a tripod, right? It's in the car. We've got a trial date of January 26th. Um, so Lindsey Halligan did appear for as part of the trial team, but she didn't say a word. She didn't even announce herself this time, which is probably best because she didn't do it correctly last time. And there is this one prosecutor, looks to be about maybe a 60-year-old gentleman who comes from Missouri. Interesting. They couldn't find anybody apparently on the East Coast or at the Eastern District of Virginia U.S. Attorney's Office to come onto the trial team. That's probably because most people are fond of their license to practice law. So I was able to in to a vindictive prosecution. His name is Roger Keller. He was announced as being from Missouri and has been an AUSA, an Assistant United States Attorney, since 2003. Abby Lowell is lead counsel for Letitia James, and he made clear that not unlike in the Comey case, he will be filing case dispositive motions to dismiss based on vindictive prosecution, based on selective prosecution, based on the alleged unlawful appointment of Lindsey Halligan as U.S. Attorney. And he said he will be filing a motion to attack the facial invalidity of the indictment. Not a surprise, given that when you read the indictment, it's a bit of a hot mess. The judge was absolutely no nonsense about things, and he said to the prosecutor a couple of times, you need to understand how things work in this jurisdiction. This, of course, is famously part of the Rocket Docket, which moves at light speed. So prosecution announced that they would have 8 to 10 witnesses, and they said the case could actually take 2 weeks. The judge said, no, not in this jurisdiction. He said, it might take 3 to 5 days with 8 to 10 witnesses. And the defense attorney agreed with the judge's assessment. There was some talk about whether the government should be prohibited from making extrajudicial statements now that there is this reporting about how Lindsey Halligan was reaching out to a reporter named Anna Bauer on a disappearing signal app, which is about as inappropriate as it gets. There will be some motions filed about that. We'll learn more about that and whether there's an allegation that Lindsey Halligan did something inappropriate. There will be a motions hearing. This is the first motions hearing that we're going to have, and that is scheduled for the motions to dismiss the case will be filed on November 7th. And after some reply motions are filed, then the hearing will be on November 5th at 11 a.m. And then there will be a second batch of motions filed, and they will be heard on the 17th of December. Another really interesting development, and I'm sorry for the shaky camera. I'm trying to get through my notes and talk to you all. Because the James Comey defense team has also filed a motion to disqualify Lindsey Halligan as being unlawfully appointed and seeking to dismiss the case based on that ground. A judge in another jurisdiction has been assigned to hear that. And what this judge asked was if the parties have any opposition to consolidating with the Comey case, that motion attacking the unlawful appointment, alleged unlawful appointment of Lindsey Halligan, and the party said that's fine. So there's going to be a joint hearing that will bring both the Letitia James and the James Comey cases and defense teams together for one hearing on the Lindsey Halligan disqualification issue, and that will be held on November 13th. And I think I'm going to have to travel. That's a judge who is assigned in the District of South Carolina, so I think I may have to be traveling to that motions hearing as well. That could be a really consequential motions hearing. So that's a little bit of what went on in the courtroom. I will talk more when I get back to my home base, Northern Virginia. I also need to get back in time to jump on and do an appearance with the BBC about today's hearing. So I'm going to get in the car, going to shoot up Route 95, and hopefully be back in time. But I will do a lengthier video later today when the camera is not so shaky and I have my notes available to me so I can kind of take you through what happened today. But that's a rough overview, and I'm glad you got to see a little bit of New York Attorney General Letitia James standing strong, speaking out, protesting her innocence, which seems to me to be, if not a foregone conclusion, a very strong argument based on everything we know about Donald Trump's vindictiveness. But more to come. So I'll jump back on later on this evening. And in the meantime, have a great Friday, and we'll catch up later, friends.